Demystifying Macros Part 2. Welcome back to LiveLeanTV for Women. I'm Jessica Guthrow, helping you figure out your journey to live lean. Last week I did Demystifying Macros Part 1, where I talked all about what macros and calories even are and why they're important for your weight loss or weight gain, body transformation goals. So if you haven't watched that one, watch that first and then come back and see this one. Today we're going to talk all about tracking macros, about meal planning, about macro ratios, and all the other information you need to know to use macros and calorie counts to your advantage to help you get better results faster. So first, let's dive into probably the number one question we get about macros is how do you track macros, or what's a good way to track them? Now, in all honesty, guys, I don't recommend tracking your macros. I recommend planning your macros. And that may sound like there's not a difference there, but there's a huge difference. When you plan out your nutrition based on your goals and ahead of the time that you're eating, you'll have a much easier time hitting those goals without having to do all these mathematic calculations every time it's mealtime. If you're gonna be eating 4 or 5 times a day, do you really want to have to enter everything you ate into an app? It's so annoying and so tedious and so frustrating. I've tried it that way, it didn't work out for me. And I hear a lot of complaints that other people hate it too, so I don't recommend it. But then you're probably sitting there thinking well, what is my other choice? Meal planning is way different than meal tracking. So Brad has a meal planner software. I'm a huge fan of it. I love it. I use it all the time for myself and for clients. Now, this is a software that helps you plan your meals, not track them after the fact. So if you know approximately how many calories your body needs, how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats, what ratio percentages you want to have, then you can easily plug in those numbers and then figure out what foods meet your needs. Now, I know you're probably sitting there going, well, how do I know what my needs are? Well, I want to take you through the simple calculations, and I'm going to use me as the example so you can see what my numbers are and how I calculate my own goals. But just don't make the mistake of following exactly what I do if you're not the exact same starting point and goals and heights and size and everything that I am right now. You need to base your own custom numbers on your current starting position, your future goals, your height, your daily activity level, and all of those factors that can change your numbers. Okay, so just to use me an example, when I calculate my BMR using this website right here, I put in my height, which is 5'6", my age, which is 31, my gender, which is female, and my goal weight, which is 130 pounds. I'm currently more like 125 because I'm still working on getting my muscle back after being pregnant. But this is an important note. You want to be using your goal weight, not necessarily your current weight, because if you're doing meal planning in the first place, you might not be at your goal weight right now. So always base your meal plan off of your goal. Now on this green line pops out my BMR. So you can see my BMR is 1385. But wait, we're not done yet. 1385 is not the amount of calories I need to eat to maintain my active lifestyle and reach my goals. You have to use the activity factor, which is the Harris-Benedict equation, and decide if you're gonna use the multiple of 1.3, 1.5, or 1.7 based on how active you are. So I, for myself, use 1.55 because I consider myself to be moderately active. I hit up the gym 3 to 5 times a week and I'm walking every day, which brings me to my daily needs of roughly 2100s. Now for me, that's a bare minimum because my goal is to gain muscle. So I ideally want to be somewhere between 21 to 2300, and that's good for me. If you want to gain muscle, it's better to err on the side of being a little over. If your goal is to lose, you want to err on the side of being a little under, but just make sure that your surplus or deficit isn't more than 300 to 500 calories at the most. So many females make the huge mistake of way undercutting their calories. If they want to lose weight, they just go straight to a 1500 calorie diet without even knowing if that fits their body size and goals. Now, if you're a lot shorter than me, you might need to eat a lot less calories than me. And if you're not as active, then it's also less calories. But just to give you kind of frame of reference, if I were to use the less activity factor of the 1.3, so if I were less active and only worked out 2 times a week, then I would do 1.3, and that would bring me to around 1,800 calories. So you can see the difference between being a little bit active and like moderately active is about 300 calories. Now, if I was to have a really extremely active week and I were to work out every single day, really, really hard and intense, then I would add an additional 300 calories. So, plus or minus 300 calories is what you want to kind of adjust, like for weeks that you're more active or less active, or if your goals change and you decide you want to gain or lose weight. That's the kind of calorie fluctuations you want to have, but you don't want to be fluctuating all the way from like 1,000 calories one day to like 6,000 calories the next. General consistency is going to get you much better results than just being like all over the map and sporadic with your nutrition. Okay, so why is meal planning important? Well, it's like the same reason that we always say having a workout program is important, because if you just step into the gym and you look around like, what should I do today? You're probably not gonna get much done. You're gonna like dilly-dally, waste time, and be really frustrated with the results. So kind of the same thing goes for nutrition. When you walk into the kitchen and go, what should I eat today? It's like, follow your plan, you'll have a much better result if you know what to eat for breakfast, you know what to eat for lunch, you know what to have for dinner, and you know what portion sizes you should be aiming for. You're gonna get a much better outcome than if you just wing it and just eat whatever you feel like. A lot of people ask me, if I have already fulfilled my macros but I'm still hungry, should I eat more? Or if I haven't filled my macros yet but I'm not hungry, should I not eat or should I force myself to eat? Well, hunger is one of those things just like motivation. It comes and it goes. And it can also be fueled by emotional desires and cravings and things like that that are not good for your body. Now, your nutrition plan is telling you the truth about how many calories and how many grams of protein and whatnot you need to reach your goals. But your hunger is like that little cartoon devil thing that sits on your shoulder and goes, let's have waffles and fried chicken. And your nutrition plan is like, well, I think, the macros would be better if we had a big ass salad with grilled chicken on it. So I'm not saying that hunger is like the devil, actually. I'm just saying that your hunger is gonna try to fool you and always try to fulfill your cravings and your whimsical thoughts of what you want to eat, but your nutrition plan is going to help you tell you the truth about what should happen if you're really serious about reaching your goals. Okay, really quickly, let's just talk ratios, because I know this can be really confusing to people, and sometimes I get the question like, should I go by ratios or by grams? Well, the grams are what make up the ratios, so you're going to figure out your grams based on your percentages. So you first want to decide what kind of percentage do I want in my diet, and then that'll kind of pop out how many grams of each that you need. So when you're planning your nutrition, the first thing you need to figure out is your calories. So I want you to go to that website, find out your BMR, do the activity factor, and then find that number, whatever it is. Your next step is figuring out your percentage goals. So if you have no idea how your body responds to different types of foods, and you're just starting with a blank slate, you could just start with 33% protein, 33 carbs, and 33 fats. That's just a really even and balanced split for those who have no idea if their body runs better on fats or better on carbs or what. Now, if you have a muscle building goal, I recommend you bump your protein a little bit higher. So you could try 40% protein, because that really helps with building muscle and muscle definition. Now, I'm not saying that this is gonna make you look like the Incredible Hulk, because building muscle is a lot harder than people think it is. But if you're training really hard in the gym and you're doing muscle building workouts, then you might want to try 40% of your diet coming from protein. Then you can figure out if you want to have 40-20 with the other two, or you can do a 30-30. The ratios are really up to you and what works best for you and what makes you feel the best. I do recommend that you keep everything overall balanced, so I wouldn't go lower than like 20% on any one macronutrient, but that's just me and my personal preference, and you have to find out what works for you. If you're completely and utterly lost and confused on macronutrient ratios and you have no idea where to start with a 33% all around. See how you do for a couple of weeks, and then you can start to play with it and adjust it as you go. I've shared my nutrition in a couple other videos, like what I eat in a day. Like I had the postpartum version and also the pregnancy version. So you could check out those videos if you want to see a little bit more about how I eat and what I eat. I've definitely noticed, especially with pregnancy and postpartum breastfeeding, I have needed higher calories. So I've been about 40 or even sometimes 50% carbs on my own personal plan, and always at around 2,200 calories. And for me, that makes me feel great. I'm lean as ever. You guys saw how quickly I was able to lose my pregnancy weight, so it's really working for me. I never once during my postpartum journey starved myself or dropped my calories super severely. I was just very diligent, very consistent, and I started working out about 6 weeks after giving birth. And let's be real, I stayed fit all through my pregnancy, so I didn't have that much fat to lose anyway. All right, one last thing I want to touch on before finishing this video is what is the difference between like following a macro and calorie calculated nutrition plan versus like just eating clean, or what some people like to call JERF, like just eat real food. Well, if you just JERF, you know, or eat clean, you may have good macros or you may not. And you know, there's really no way of telling because you're not tracking or calculating or planning anything out. So it's kind of like a shooting in the dark kind of thing, which, you know, when you're eating clean and healthy foods, you're probably doing a whole lot better than when you're not eating clean and healthy foods, but it doesn't guarantee results the way it does when you actually plan and track and, you know, follow a plan. I mean, results really can never be guaranteed, but having a plan to follow with nutrition and a plan to follow with fitness is your #1 best bet and fastest route to seeing any kind of results. Creating this custom nutrition plan, whether you do it yourself or you hire someone to do it for you, is your surest bet to reach your goals in the fastest and safest, healthiest way possible. All right, so that's it. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you guys do have more questions regarding macros, they're not as confusing as they might seem. I know it can feel really overwhelming at first, but trust me, if I can learn to use macros and teach other people how to do it, then so can you. This concept may be foreign right now, but a little bit of practice under your belt and it won't seem as daunting and complicated as it may seem at first. So please leave your questions down below. I would like to know from you guys, what is your calculated calorie level? And then what kind of macro split have you found that's worked best for you? And if you don't know, if you're a complete newbie, let us know down below, and maybe me and other people in the comment section can help you figure out your nutrition goals. Thank you guys so much for watching this Demystifying Macro series. I hope that macros are demystified for you, not so complicated anymore. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, keep living lean.